Hello, if you're still there, this is Nehemiah Afamefuna TV channel. We're looking at the death part of the educational system series. Now, what do we mean by the figurative expression, the death part, as used in this context? The death part simply refers to the discrepancy and the variation that is seen in the method of dispensing knowledge by the educational system. Now, previously or before now, many years before now, the method of teaching of regurgitation of information, that is memorizing, having the ability to recall information when needed, has been outdated, because this approach or method of learning do not help graduates to solve real life problem when invited to do so. Meanwhile, the same graduate can become the first class graduate in the department per se. He or she could become the best graduating student from the school necessarily, but he or she is not able to solve real life problem. So we call for a reform. There should be a reform in the educational system. And what reform are we calling for? We are calling for the reform of diverting from just improving and developing the brain and the memory of students to developing and maturing the minds of students. If you have a memory development, if you have the ability to regurgitate information, and you don't have the ability to think for yourself, to use your mind to solve problems, you will not be able to survive the today social or today market environment. Meanwhile, we know that if you ask any student, why do you go to school? They say, I go to school so that I can graduate with the best result and get a good job and earn money. Well, the orientation or the conditioning of this student or the programming of this student is entirely wrong. When you make someone to go to school and condition them to get good grade so that they can get good job, that is a wrong conditioning. Because we were told in school that when you fail in school, they begin to categorize you as average student, below average student, and they say you can't make it in life. Well, I will shock you, or I will want to tell you that the people that fail most in school are the one that makes it in real life. Think of one person. Let's just use one example for this video. Sir Thomas Edison, that discovered the light bulb. You see, he was a failure in school, and he was a school dropout. Meanwhile, he failed in the experiment to discover the light bulb 1,000 times, 10,000 times. You see, and then when he was asked, he says, well, I didn't fail. I just discovered 10,000 method or times, or 10,000 method, which is not proper in the production of light bulb. Without much further ado, we call for a reform, because the reform we're looking for is the school system, for the school system to develop the minds of these students, not just the memory of the student, but for the mind of the student. Professor Howard, that was the professor of Harvard University, Professor Howard Gardner. Professor Howard Gardner in 1983 wrote in one of his books, he wrote about the frames of mind. The frames of mind. He said that there are 7 levels of intelligence, and in that 7 level of intelligence, he discussed that we have what he called the verbal linguistic intelligence. the verbal linguistic intelligence. Okay? He also described what he called the logic mathematics intelligence. He also illustrates what he called the body kinesthetic intelligence. He also described the music intelligence. He also described the visual spatial intelligence. He also described the interpersonal intelligence. And finally, he described the intrapersonal intelligence. Now, well, the book, or in his book, The Frames of Mind, published in 1983, it was actually talking about the people that have the ability under the verbal linguistic intelligence, the ability to communicate effectively. All right? Now, they have the ability to understand the structure and the syntax of language, and they have that ability to effectively communicate. Although this concept is concept that we can pick up one of those concepts and discuss extensively on it. But we are going to summarize all these concepts and then call it a day. Then, the logic mathematical intelligence, these are people that can think about abstract patterns. They are able to think about abstract patterns and are able to use those patterns to derive solutions to problems. Now, these guys are good in science and mathematics. Now, we'll talk about the body kinetic intelligence. They are good in sport and football and a lot of sport and athletics. We'll talk about the music intelligence. They are good in reasoning and understanding of music. Then, but the most important one, or one of the major important one, is the okay, we've all got there. We have the visual spatial intelligence. Those that can see, they can imaginalize, they can use imaginary to create solution and solve problem. You see, we also have people that are interpersonal intelligence. They have interpersonal intelligence because they can relate with people, and those guys are able to become good counselors, or they are able to help people in a kind of therapy assistant in helping people to recover from emotional damage. Then we can have the intrapersonal intelligence, people that are able to manage their own emotion even in difficult time. Now, this was what the professor Howard Gardner said in his book, The Frame of Mind, in 1983. But meanwhile, this should not give you a conditioning that, well, I belong to one of these intelligent category. It should just tell you that there are different disparities of intelligence, and you can actually have any one of these intelligence if you choose to study, if you choose to learn about it. You know, there are people that want to be successful, but they don't learn success. You see, for you to be successful in any aspect of life, you need to learn success in that aspect of life. You want to become a good businessman, you need to learn how good business people succeed. So in everything we do, we don't just go to school to regurgitate information, but we go to school to learn about ourselves. You see, to learn who we are. The school system should get this reform that we should be training students to learn who they are, not who we tell them to be, not who we use our examination to grade them to be. They should learn who they are. If you ask a student, who are you? They will say, my name is XYZ, and I am X years of age, and I am coming from YZ country. Now, that's not you. Your real you is the person inside of you looking through the windows of your eyes. So you need to teach students that they will be able to understand that they are going to school now, not just to regurgitate information, but to find out who they are. And the school system should help them to find out who they are. Okay? Should help them to find out who they are by incorporating into them the vision of learning the purpose and the reason why they are on planet Earth. So, if we have said this and we are trying to get this reform, we believe that the school owners, the teachers teaching the students will help the student to discover who they really are by teaching them about what is called the development of the mind, not just the memory to regurgitate information. This is all we've got for you in this video. If you have a question, you can drop it on the comment section. See you in our next video. Bye for now.